Quiet on the set. Roll them. Hey, any dogs in the audience? Put your paws together. If you're in a fog about what to feed your dog, don't be coy, Roy.
Or it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Animation is the illusion of movement. You take something that can't move on its own and you make it appear to move. With clay animation, it's pretty much the same thing. You take a clay object, whether it's a character or a dinosaur or whatever it is, and you take a picture of it, you move it just a little bit, you take another picture of it or a frame, you move it a little bit more, and you take another picture and so on. When you play all those frames back, it appears to move. It's a very time-consuming process, and for a second can take several hours.
Roll over, boy. Attaboy. Shake hands. Attaboy. You call that smart? You don't expect him to work for free, do you?
In doing the dog for the Attaboy dog food commercial, it took about 80 to 100 hours to design the dog, to build the armature for the dog, and to sculpt the dog. Deciding what the dog was going to do was already figured out ahead of time. We knew that he had to bark and growl and do some things like that. So I knew pretty much what his limitations were. He was pretty well locked down, and the only thing that could move was his head and his tail. The hardest part in doing this type of thing is staying on your feet for 20 hours at a time. It takes a lot of concentration. It takes a lot of patience, because you're there for a long time and not a lot is happening. You're moving things real slow and in small increments, or you're sculpting things, or you're moving an eyeball here or there. It takes a lot of time. Okay, I've talked enough. Let's go to my shop and I'll show you what I've been talking about. Okay, this is the cat we use for the Attacat cat food commercial, and what few people realize is what it takes to make a character like this for animation. Inside this little guy is what we call an armature, and I cut away his arm so you could see what it takes to make his arm. And in moving something like this, you don't want it to drop. It has to be tight enough so that you can move it like that, leave it there, take a frame of that, move it like that, take another frame of that, you know, and so forth. So you need something underneath it to hold everything together, because under the hot lights, the clay is going to start to get soft, and things are going to, arms are going to fall off, and you don't want that. If you're interested in clay animation, you should spend a lot of time sculpting, working with clay, getting to know how clay works. And if you have access to a Super 8 camera that does single frame animation, then you can set that up and try moving some things and see what you can get. The only way you can really learn how to do this is to make mistakes and see what works and see what doesn't work. Sculpting doesn't necessarily mean just making little heads or faces or little character type of things. It can mean something like this. This is what I'm working on now. It's for Seafair, and although it's not as involved as the cat, it took just as much time because there's an awful lot of detail in there. A 30-second commercial, which doesn't contain 30 seconds worth of animation usually, can take several days. It should take several weeks, but we're usually under a pretty tight time restraint. If you want to get into something like this, all it takes is a lot of time and practice. You grab yourself some clay, get some sticks and Mom's old fork, and start stabbing away at it. Hey, if I can do it, you can do it.
Hey, take this cat's advice.
Tony's work has attracted a lot of attention lately. Earlier this month, he was awarded an Emmy for one of his animations done last Christmas. We'll be back with a look at an American team of mountain climbers headed for Mount Everest right after these commercial messages.